Hello everyone, my name is Subhajit and I want to give a brief demo of Katonic AI platform. So we just launched our community version of the platform and you can probably can able to access by using this particular link community.katonic.ai, and you do have few options. So prior to that I would like to mention about our platform. It runs on Kubernetes, it is scalable, it can probably solve any kind of AI application in the world. Prior to that, once you go to community.katonic.ai, then you have this particular screen where you can sign up, you can put your mails, and probably after that you will get a verification mail and you are good to go. If you forget your password, definitely we have that options. And once you have all these details, now we are good to go to our platform. Once you log into a platform, you can probably see a dashboard with few details. We already have model server and we have recent work of yours, right? Okay, we'll come to here later. So once you log in, you can see my username over here, and we have menus which can probably help to automate the entire process. So let's get started from connectors. So we do have connectors which has various sources. You can click on connectors, you can have multiple sources, you can extract the data from multiple sources. So there are a lot of sources are available. You can extract the data, you can set up a source by using that, and destinations, right? So definitely you need to extract the data from source and put somewhere. So here we are giving a lot of flexibility to you. You can have S3, you can have Redshift, Postgres, and local CSV, where you can probably work. Once you load the data directly, you can work. So we are in a stage where we are kind of building a lot of connectors. So right now we are planning to build more than 100. So we do have around 60 to 70 connectors, and we'll go there. So now let's start from the automation, right? So now the platform is for AI and it can kind of solve any kind of business problem. So let's start from first level of automation, that is called notebook. Once we click on notebook, we can see various notebook details over here, and we do have option of start and stop the notebook so that you can consume some resources, and you can have age of the notebook where you have created. So there are few notebooks are running and few notebooks are still and stop. We can start and stop, and we can have option to delete it, right? And if you want to create a notebook, we have options. Create a notebook, you can fill the details, you can select various notebook images, pre-built images. You can have PyTorch, TensorFlow, scikit-learn, Spark, and every image, right? Then you can probably select the CPUs. You can also able to use the memories. Once you spin the notebook, you just need to connect, and you can just straight away in the process to write your code and probably test. Once you connect the notebook, let me tell you about a couple of things regarding the notebook. Notebook will help the data scientist to build the code, but data scientist cannot deploy that code in production. So what exactly we have now? So this particular use case is credit card fraud detection use case. So any data scientist, okay, now they can explore the data, they can load the data, they can probably use lot of different algorithms they want to use. They can use PySpark, they can use scikit-learn, cataboost algorithm, lightgm, XGBoost. There are a lot of different kind of algorithms they can use. And once they are done with their code, right, they don't need to do anything apart from just click of a button. Now we are coming here, we can enable this particular notebook into Kale, then we can probably compile and run. Once I compile and run, this notebook is going to be converted into a scalable pipeline. So let me go to there, and I can show you the pipeline, how it looks like. Once you click on that particular button to compile and run, right, that is converting to this particular pipeline which is running on top of Kubernetes. You can simplify this graph. Now you have multiple steps each steps has its own significance. So if you want to load the data, you can have logs, you can have visualization. In visualization, the preview of the data, you can also expand this. Similarly, for suppose you are doing some data pre-processing task, right, you can have that option. You can go here, you can see many steps over here. You can have multiple graphs, you can analyze the data, you can check the correlation between multiple columns and all kind of graphs and visualization you can see here. Once you are finalized, then probably you can have multiple models you can run parallelly. It is not sequential. At the same time, cataboost classify, XGBoost classify, AdaBoost classify, all kind of different complex algorithms are running on top of Kubernetes, and you don't need to do anything. That is completely on Kubernetes, and it's scalable. Based on your load, it kind of scales. So now you have done your part, right? You have multiple models, you need to evaluate. Okay, now based upon my evaluation, XGBoost is the best model. Okay, now you are done on the evaluation. So now, before explaining about how you can deploy this model or versioning the multiple models, let me tell you about some good operations of pipeline. So you can do a lot of things using this pipeline. You can kind of reuse this entire pipeline for multiple purposes. Suppose you have built this particular application, or you can say the pipeline, for a particular data set, and you want to reuse this particular pipeline for different data set which is similar to that particular data set, because I believe for different data set you have different pre-processing technique and different kind of algorithms you want to use. But if you want to use similar kind of data or similar kind of algorithm, you can still use this particular pipeline for newer data also. How to do that? Let me explain you. Let's go to clone run. You can clone this run. You have all these details, and probably you can change the parameter, right? Whatever parameter you are setting. Suppose you are setting a parameter where the dataset name is one of the parameter, or dataset path is the parameter. You can change over here, and you can rerun this entire dataset. Entire pipeline can be run by using new dataset. Okay. Now this is one of the advantage. Let me show you one more advantage of pipeline. Suppose you are here, you have experiments. Inside experiment you have pipeline, which I have already shown. Now you want to create one more run from this particular experiment. You can go here. Okay, now either you can create new one, or you can choose the existing one, right? You can choose the existing one, or you can create new one. Run name. Now the advantage of pipeline is you can have one-off, which is nothing but the batch job. Like in a single time, it's a kind of manually you want to run run once, so you are running it. But there is an option called recurring. What is happening in recurring? There are two ways for recurring. One is periodic, one is cron. Okay, let's go to periodic. Periodic is like, okay, we have a start date, we have end date. Okay, I want to start my job from this particular date to this particular date, and I want to run this for this particular interval. So we have options like hours, days, or weeks. So from start date to end date, any time you can parameterized, and of course the parameters of the data set or anything you want to update. Now the cron job has a very nice way to represent. So you have cron expression where your job can run weekly or like monthly or any time, right? So you can have that option as well. Okay, now once you done this, right? Okay, now we are done with pipeline, and we are done with how to create a pipeline for notebook. Let's go to how to register a model, right? Once you finalize, okay, this model is good, how exactly I can register. To do that, I'll show you different example where I'm kind of showing you a different way to present. One is the pipeline way, of course. The second way is notebook way, right? Of course, the notebook is still work, right? It can still work, and you can probably use this notebook to run your application. Okay, now if I open this notebook, I have certain packages need to be installed. Okay, I'm installing these packages. Now I am looking at my notebook. It has certain parameters, it has certain implementations. We are kind of using a lot of functionalities over here, a lot of models, multiple different type of models we are using. So now similarly, just the way the scalable way to convert a pipeline, still you can still do this, convert this particular notebook into a pipeline. But at the same time, I just want to show you how you can register a model, or you can multiple versions of the model, and once you have finalized the versions, then probably you can just deploy in a click of a button, right? So now if you see, I have multiple models. I have kind of now identified a lot of different models which can be worked for this particular data set. Once I finalize which model is good, right? So if you see, once I evaluate, like this model is good and this model is better than everything, then probably I can use this particular model to deploy. And how to deploy it? Yeah, there is a very simple steps. You can follow few steps to deploy your model. Now you can have as we are using MLflow internally, you can get the run IDs. Based upon the run IDs, you are also getting the artifacts which kind of storing your models, and then we are using Sheldon to deploy that model. So you get these details, run ID and artifacts. You can register this model with this name. I am giving a name with run ID. Okay, this particular model I am going to register. I am registering here. So once you register a model version, it will register as a 1. Suppose you want the same name for a model to be registered. Suppose I have a data and I want to explore little bit more on that particular model, and I want to deploy that. You can still do that. So if you want to re-register with a different version, you just need to create model version. Automatically the different version will come. Once you are finalized, okay, my version 1 is not good, rather than my version is 2 is good, you can stage to production. Once you stage to production, then automatically your model registry will have model registries will have this particular model will have a production, and that can be the deploy, that can be deployed, because without production there won't be deploy. If your model you have registered to production, then only you can able to deploy. Once I click on deploy, then you can directly go to model servers, and here you can see your models. And this will take some time to register, but you have the endpoint now. You can still call the endpoint and you can do the predictions. This is a secure endpoint. It's an HTTPS. And if you want to monitor model, there is still we have options. We can see the monitoring of the model, live monitoring of the model. As of now, there is no call. That's why the monitoring is empty, but you can monitor the model here. And apart from that, we do have options of giving you the flexibility to monitor the cluster. So if you go here, you can monitor the cluster. So now you can see my cluster is 46 GB of RAM. Out of that, only 14 GB is used, and 12 cores machine, and only we have used 0.67 cores. Even if my application is so lengthy, still we are managed to use very less CPU to utilize, and of course the hard disk and network IO and other pod usage and all the details you can see here. So I mentioned about the dashboard at the end, right? So if you see the dashboard, you can see whatever you have the model details, and apart from that you have recent pipelines, recent runs. You can click and you can directly go from here. You don't need to think about where I have put that. You can directly go here, and of course the notebooks, even you can go to your notebooks. So that's it from the demo side. Thank you everyone.